going to be discovered in Israel.
yanaenda kuvumbuliwa kule Israeli.
And the first time I gave this prophecy was June 12th, the year 2019.
Na mara ya kwanza nilipeana unabii huu ilikuwa tarehe 12 mwezi wa 6 mwaka 2019.
And I give it today June 5th, the year 2020.
Na ninaupeana leo hii tarehe 5 mwezi wa 6 mwaka 2020.
This is an event that has not yet happened.
Hili ni tukio ambalo bado halijatendeka.
Storage center has recently been exposed at archaeological excavations in the Arnona neighborhood in Jerusalem. The excavation conducted by the Israel Antiquities Authorities revealed a site which is unusually large, a structure built of concentric walls. Now, of particular interest, 120 jar handles were found bearing seal impressions containing ancient Hebrew script.
Archaeologists uncovered more than 100 unique seals on jar handles, many stamped with the ancient Hebrew word lemelech, which means to the king or belonging to the king.
למעלה כתוב בכתב עברי קדום אותיות למד מם למד כף למלך, ומתחת לסמל מופיעים שמות אחד מארבעה מקומות: חברון, זיף, סוחו או ממשק. תביעה פרטית שנושאת את שמו של משולם אלנתן, אולי היה פקיד חשוב בממלכת יהודה.
This site has revealed a huge host of discoveries.
אנחנו נמצאים בקצה של המבנה הממלכתי מימי ממלכת יהודה. אפשר לראות פה אבני גיר גדולות, מסוטטות. די ברור שכזה מבנה, בכזה גודל עם כאלו אבנים, זה מבנה ציבורי.
But that's not all. As for the building itself, experts say it likely served as a government activity center during the reign of King Hezekiah at the start of the 7th century BCE. It was used to store surplus food as well as collect taxes, though the site also reveals details of a biblical standoff between the invading Assyrian armies and those of the Judean king.
צפנו פה עשרות רבות של ידיות קנקנים נושאות טביעות חותם. חזקיהו יודע שסנחריב הולך להגיע ליהודה ולאחר מכן לצור על ירושלים, ובמסגרת ההכנות האלה למרד הוא חייב לאגור כמה שיותר גבוה. למעלה כתוב בכתב עברי קדום אותיות למד מם למד כף למלך, ומתחת לסמל מופיעים שמות אחד מארבעה מקומות: חברון, זיף, סוחו או ממשק. תביעה פרטית שנושאת את שמו של משולם אלנתן, אולי היה פקיד חשוב בממלכת יהודה.
A significant storage center has recently been exposed at archaeological excavations in the Arnona neighborhood in Jerusalem. The excavation conducted by the Israel Antiquities Authorities revealed a site which is unusually large, a structure built of concentric walls. Now, of particular interest, 120 jar handles were found bearing seal impressions containing ancient Hebrew script. Now, earlier I asked Professor Israel Finkelstein, a professor of archaeology at Tel Aviv University, about the significance of this discovery.
Well, it takes us back to the 7th century BC, to late monarchic times, and the finds at Arnona are important because they show the significant growth of Jerusalem and Judah economically and politically, if you wish, and of course from the administrative point of view. So this is the period when Jerusalem and Judah, under Assyrian patronage, becomes a very important player on the scene of the Levant. At that time, Judah was well organized, and it needed to pay taxes to the Assyrian overlords, and they had to collect agricultural output, wine and oil and things like this, and the seal impressions were impressed. The impressions were put on handles of storage jars, which were used for the collection of taxes, which made it possible for Judah, first of all, to pay the Assyrians and also to conduct an advanced economy in Judah itself.
I am now standing between two of the walls of the major Iron Age structure that we've uncovered.
Archaeologists say the site is one of the most significant recent discoveries from the 8th century BC. That's known in the Bible as the time of the kings in Jerusalem.
The excavation is here in the southern part of Jerusalem. Behind me is the new U.S. Embassy.
Archaeologists say it's ironic that this area served as an administrative center 2,700 years ago, and now it's home to an embassy.
This site has three aspects that are unparalleled. The stamp seals, the monumental architecture, and the stone heap proves beyond reasonable doubt the administrative nature of this site.
Located about 2 miles from ancient Jerusalem, it appears the government managed and stored food supplies for the kingdom here. They also collected wine and olive oil, the tax payment of that time. The site is dated to a turbulent time when the Assyrian king Sennacherib was trying to conquer the cities of Judah. Still, the excavation shows the site remained active with uninterrupted tax collection. Archaeologists also found human and animal figurines.
The Bible says not to do idol worship, and it repeats it, and the prophets warn about this time and time again. The reason for warning is that they keep reverting back to the idol worship, and it seems like these were very common in every single household.
One of the mysteries is a huge mound of flint stones that archaeologists believe covered a large building. Nearby, workers are uncovering the remains of a wide wall.
We think these are looted elements, ancient looting, of a monumental structure that still exists maybe to some degree under the pile.
The discovery came during a salvage excavation conducted before the construction of a new neighborhood.
The writing, the ancient writings that have been written on a piece of pottery. It looks like a piece of pottery as if the back of a pot or some clay work, but ancient writings are going to be discovered.
A significant storage center has recently been exposed at archaeological excavations in the Arnona neighborhood in Jerusalem. Now, of particular interest, 120 jar handles were found bearing seal impressions containing ancient Hebrew script.
Archaeologists uncovered more than 100 unique seals on jar handles.
the Lord has spoken with me. On this past night, the Lord spoke with me about a major event that is coming to take place on the earth here. I see a very huge explosion. There's going to be a very huge explosion, and I see in that dream the Lord showed me a huge explosion, and in that dream I see a lot of billowing of very black smoke, a cloud of smoke. And that cloud comes, billows into the sky, and it looks more like some chemical weapons or chemicals that are going to explode. They look more like chemical weapons. There's going to be a huge explosion, and the black dark smoke billows from that explosion, and then chemicals disperse into the air. The smoke disperses into the air. It looks more like an explosion from chemical weapons or a chemical. But this is going to visit the earth. This is going to happen on the earth. But again, a huge explosion. The smoke that billows from there, I'm not sure, dark smoke, very, very thick dark. It looks like these thick chemicals. And then that smoke billows. But there's going to be a huge explosion that billows a huge cloud of thick dark smoke, and then the smoke disperses into the air. May those who have ears listen. The voice of the Lord, he has spoken. And when these things come to pass, you shall know that surely indeed the Messiah is coming.
Jehovah has spoken with me today, and this is urgent. The Lord takes me to a place. There is a complex of buildings in that place. Then all of a sudden, we begin to run. The Lord puts me there, so I run. People are running for their lives. The roof, I thought it's an earthquake. So people are shouting, earthquake. I thought it's an earthquake. And we are running. The walls are falling down and so forth. And however, I see the roof, an explosion through the roof. An explosion through the roof. And as we're running to the next building, from outside we meet a lot of shattering that has fallen, which are very reminiscent of an earthquake. And so that's why we're running, saying, is it an earthquake? So we're running. I was running with everyone in there, saying it's an earthquake. I was shouting it's an earthquake. They were shouting it's an earthquake because we're seeing a lot of glass, a lot of walls have fallen, crumbled, and this building, the roof, big explosion over the roof. That's when again I stopped. I said, is this really an earthquake or this is an explosion? So we're running to the next side. With the next building, it also explodes. We were fearing it's an earthquake, so we're looking for where to hide. I thought it's an earthquake because we were shouting earthquake, earthquake as we were running and meeting a lot of fallen walls and glass, running to the next side. Then there was an explosion over the roof. A huge explosion over the roof of this building in this complex, in that particular complex, in the dream, flowed. But we were running, shouting, and people were saying, earthquake, earthquake. So we're running, very violent. There was nowhere to run to. It was a very dreadful situation. There was really nowhere to run to. We had nowhere to run to because it was all over. As we were running towards the next building, the first main building is where there was that shaking, violent shaking, and then the explosion over the roof. When we came out is when we saw the roof explode. And then we are running to the next building and then meeting all the shattered glass and the stones and everything. Everybody's running. Then realize the next building is also shaking. So this is very big situation. So I see people running. I see very serious emergency. People are running for their lives, but there is nowhere to get to. And the building explodes from the roof on top. Big smoke, and over the roof. And then as we are running, we meet fallen glass, and so meaning this place has also been shaken out here. And then we are running to the next building, but it's also about to explode or about to collapse. Again, the Lord took me at about 1 o'clock today, and it took me to a place. We were in a building. I could even see some people were sitting there talking. It was a building place. It looks like a big building complex. And then all of a sudden, we began to run, and people were shouting, earthquake, earthquake. So we were running away. And the buildings were shaking and collapsing and what. But when we stepped out, then there was the explosion over the roof, that went up as we were running. So even we feared to go to the next building because there was a lot of shattered glass and fallen walls and what, as we were running to try to go to the next one, which was also about to collapse or about to explode. The Messiah is coming. Right now, the Lord is purifying worship. He's purifying the hearts of men, preparing them for the coming kingdom of God. May the Lord bless you. Thank you.
This day, June 5th, 2020,
Na katika siku hii tarehe 5 mwezi wa 6 mwaka 2020,
I give the prophecy of earthquake coming to the earth
ninapeana unabii wa tetemeko la ardhi ambalo linakuja duniani,
and a big explosion happening at the same time on the earth.
na pia mlipuko mkubwa kabisa ukitendeka kwa wakati huo juu ya dunia.
Very violent.
La fujo kabisa.
There was a massive explosion. I mean, something the likes of I've never seen before.
It felt like an earthquake followed by a huge blast.
Breaking news this evening, there has been a huge explosion in the Lebanese capital, Beirut.
A massive explosion has torn through the Lebanese capital, Beirut.
We have breaking news of a major explosion in the city of Beirut, Lebanon.
Just after 6 p.m. local time on Tuesday, the 4th of August, an explosion ripped through Beirut's port. Videos from the scene suggest there was one smaller explosion. And then roughly 30 seconds later, this.
The Jordanian Seismological Observatory said the Beirut explosion was equivalent to a magnitude 4.5 earthquake on the Richter scale.
Large parts of Beirut are in ruins tonight from a blast that shook the capital. So far, we know at least 100 people have been killed, with around 4,000 others injured. The scale of the explosion is just astonishing. Buildings were destroyed far from the port where the blast was centred, and the damage is up to 10 kilometres away, meaning the whole city was affected. The blast was even heard by people in Cyprus, 200 kilometres off the coast.
The blast at the Lebanese capital's port struck with the force of an earthquake. People filming a warehouse fire were suddenly knocked off their feet by a massive explosion. Windows kilometres away from the site were blown out. balconies.
Viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Several thousand people have been injured. They streamed onto the streets, bleeding from glass cuts and worse.
I don't know what happened. I was fishing and I heard there was a fire. I started to head home. I heard something explode and then this happened.
Downtown Beirut looked like a war zone.
At least 100 people are confirmed dead.
But the damage was spread across the city.
Mike? Car was down there. It rolled.
I see a very huge explosion.
The blast struck with a force of a 3.5 magnitude.
Драгоценные люди, мы видим, что Бейрут был пророчествован мощнейшими пророками, и мы видим это страшный взрыв, который произошел в Бейруте. И когда мы бежим к следующему зданию, очень много стен упало, и камни, и все бегут. И мы поняли, что следующее здание тоже потряслось. И мы бегали, мы увидели это стекло, и мы видели